one of the unspoken benefits of going to Britain is there really are no natural dangers. Am I correct about this?
Yes, there's nothing here. There's an adder, a snake that if it bit you, it'd be like being bitten by a big bee, but you're not going to die. My daughter recently went to California and was walking around in the forests up near the Yosemite, up to, is it Mammoth Lake? Walking around in this forest. She did meet two people during a whole day of walking. And my concern was that because we don't understand that there's anything dangerous out there, we will do these things and go, yeah, well, I'm sure the bears are friendly. I'm sure the snakes would not really come after me, and wander around in a very naive way.
Folks, you demanded that I have him back on. Another episode of Big Boy Pants Golf with Chris. His video is going up to 30,000 views right now. And so I said, Chris, please come on. My channel needs the views. Can you help me out here? And he has. He's going to take us off the beaten path today on British culture, courses, food, everything you need to know about the true Britain, the real Britain, not the Rick Shields, Peter Finch, James Robinson golf Britain.
Yeah. I think when I talk to American friends in London about golf and what Americans perhaps ought to do, it's so different. And they always tell me, well, you know, Americans turning up to watch the Open or the Seniors or whatever, they kind of want to stay in really nice hotels and they want to go to really nice courses, and they're really burning cash like crazy. Because those courses, like if I came to America, you know, if I wanted to play famous courses, I'd be paying what, $400, $500 if I could even get on. And then once I'm on that course, I'm playing a pro level course. And frankly, I mean, I play off nearly 12. So I'd really struggle on a course like that. So I wouldn't have a good time. The best time of my life has been like when I went to Tennessee. I went on a guitar workshop in Tennessee near Knoxville. I had a great time. If I'd have been playing golf, I'm sure that would have been just as good. I'd have met people. People would want to play with you because you were so unusual. There are not a lot of tourists around Knoxville. And I feel that there's something like that could go on with Americans coming to Britain. But you kind of don't really know how to put it together. And so you just fall into line. You go with the travel agent people, and they line you up with an expensive hotel, an expensive course, and you come away thinking, geez, that costs a lot. And I'm not sure it was really great golf. I'm not sure I really, really enjoyed that. Britain has got nearly 2,500 golf courses. We've not got quite as many golf courses per 1,000 population as you have in America. But the accessibility is really, really good. You can just ring up a golf course or turn up at a golf course and play. And you can play as a single. You can walk. If you want to carry a bag, you can walk. Not so usual in America. You can get a buggy if you want. You'll always find somebody to play with. If you turned up at my golf club, I can guarantee within 20 minutes or so, they would find somebody for you to go and play with if you were on your own. And the cost of a round at my golf course is about £50. What's that? $60 for a round. Food would cost you, I don't know, $10 to $15. Pretty much every golf course in Britain has food all day from 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning until 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. They've got chefs, they've got staff to do that. So you're not going to have to pay much for food. You're not going to have to pay much for a round. Looking for somewhere to stay, all these golf courses have got really good pub hotels nearby. Within a mile or 2 miles, you'll find 2 or 3 really good places to stay. You can stay in a traditional British pub with really good British food. Whatever you heard about British food in the past, it's as good as what you're used to. A meal will be £15 to £20. A pint of beer is now about £4 to £5. So what's that? $5 to $6. You can get cold beer like you're used to, which we would call lager. You can get British beer, which is not warm. Don't keep on going on this about that. It isn't warm. It's about 42 degrees. So it's not warm. It's tap water temperature. So you can have a great time and not burn hundreds and hundreds of dollars. You could have a really good time playing golf on multiple courses, because you could be playing 4 or 5 courses for the price of one Sunningdale if you could get on. I doubt whether you'd get on at Wentworth. I doubt whether you'd get on at the Belfry. And these are expensive courses if you could get onto them.
So basically, rather than go to the standard travel agent route where someone's holding up a flag and you're falling around and they get you on a little minivan and take you to the golf course, do it yourself, meet the locals.
Absolutely.
You're going to make friends there.
Yeah, it is so easy. You'll find everybody here is so friendly. And as an American turning up at a British golf course like that, people will find you pretty unusual, because most Americans are going to the famous courses. If you turn up in Wiltshire, where I live, we're about 95 miles west of London. So people currently have been to the Live Tour could have easily got out to Wiltshire. And there's so many other things to do. So if you're bringing a partner, you can go to Stonehenge, Avebury. Everybody knows Stonehenge. Avebury. Probably everybody knows a village that's about 2 or 3 miles from where I live called Laycock. Laycock was where they filmed a lot of Harry Potter and a lot of other. It's been used as filming locations for years. And all the aerials, all the electric cables, everything has been removed. So it absolutely looks like a village in 1650, a very old style village. So there's lots of things to do as well as playing the golf. And the golf is not going to cost you a lot of money. And there's some great courses. I mean, our course is really well rated locally because it's on chalk downs, which means that it drains really well. So if we do get rain, the water just soaks through the chalk course into the chalk, and we can play virtually every day of the year.
What's awesome about what you pointed out about Harry Potter is this is the perfect family vacation. You have the kids watch a little Harry Potter. You promise you'll take them there. You drop them off in some random village and you go play golf. And then maybe at the end of the day, they're still at the village.
Well, we're not very far from Bath, which is a classic town that people want to go to. It's a Georgian spa town with beautiful architecture. Actually, my sister-in-law is a guide, one of these blue guides, a special guide. And she is taking Americans around Stonehenge and Bath and Winchester. These are all places that are local. Winchester is famous because of King Arthur. And there's so many other things to do. So you could bring your family here. You could be playing golf, and you can send your family off to Bath or Laycock or Winchester or a shopping town that's really nice. It would be a smart move.
Could we put your sister's details somewhere, or the agency she's with, so that people, when they went to Bath? You're 1 degree of separation from hanging out with Chris's sister.
My sister-in-law, my wife's sister. She is a blue guide, and blue guides are the official guides in Britain for anything that you wanted to see in London or whatever. A blue guide is the one that you want because they are formally qualified to take you around and give you a good experience. Yeah, we'll We'll put our details somewhere here.
For the fans at home, what is the current official version of what Stonehenge is all about?
Stonehenge is thought to have been put there 2,500 years ago. Some of the stones come from Wales, so nobody really is sure about how did you get stones from 150 miles away at a time when I didn't even know where the wheel was invented that time. But it seems to be all aligned with the sun, and it's a big event on the summer solstice. Is that June the 21st or the 22nd, the Midsummer's Day, when the sun arises and comes up across the horizon, and the sun shines directly through Stonehenge onto the altar, and that presumably gave the priests, perhaps, who were there, a kind of calendar of where you were in the year, so they could predict crops and when to sow seeds and things like that. But it really is in the middle of nowhere. Salisbury Plain is 40 miles square. I mean, it is a big blank area, really. Of course, there are villages now out on Salisbury Plain, and you could stay on Salisbury Plain. I'm sure you'd find a pub and a restaurant on Salisbury Plain, but it's a really interesting visit. But what is older than that is Avebury, which is even closer to me. That's about 10 miles from where I live. And Avebury is thought to be 3,000 years old. And these are, again, another big stone circle with a pub in it, very important, and a village. But the stone circle is even older than Stonehenge. So we are full of ancient burial mounds like Silbury Hill, which is down the road from me. Silbury Hill is about 60 or 70 feet high and was thought to be a burial mound for somebody important, put there 2,000 years ago. So there's some very ancient history in this area. Running right up beside my course at North Wilts is Wanstead, which is a great gouge in the ground. And it goes on for 20 or 30 miles across the downs, and nobody knows why it was there. Was it a barrier against the Danes? Because this is the line where the Danes, the Vikings, came to where I live and no further south, because King Arthur did a deal with the Danes, paid them Danegeld, and this line, just where I live, was the line. The Danes didn't come south of here because they were paid not to come further south. So it's an area that's full of history, as well as golf.
What about the crop circle situation? When is the latest crop circle sighting near your area?
People who live here are kind of amused by it. Well,
British people are obsessed with crop circles.
No. Tourists, Japanese and American tourists are obsessed. And I have heard stories of a coach driver with a Japanese tour coming to a village and saying, "Are there any crop circles in the area?" And the restaurant says, "Well, what's happening?" "Well, tomorrow I'm bringing a whole coachload of Japanese tourists here to see a crop circle. There will be one there tomorrow for them to look at." So I think they are probably being created by local people with ropes and walking and strings and planks. And I don't think anybody around here takes them particularly seriously. And the farmers are a bit annoyed because it flattens the crops, although modern combine harvesters can pick it up better than they used to.
I think you have to make these crop circles for the Japanese tourists because there's this thing called the Japanese syndrome, where Japanese women who watch a lot of French movies go to Paris and have a breakdown because it's nothing like the movies.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Paris is a lot like, if you watch, what's that TV series with the girl in Emily in Paris? I mean, if you turn the sound off and you just look at the pictures, that is Paris. That is exactly what it's like. But her life there is, I don't think you can actually live like that and not speaking French. I mean, the French in Paris are a bit arsy about people not speaking French.
My Parisian French woman story involves me looking at a map, looking for one of these famous cemeteries. And the lady sitting next to me on one of these little boats is asking me, well, where are you going to? And I said, I'm going to this cemetery. And she's like, it's full of dead people. If you're into that sort of thing, turns away and doesn't speak to me again.
Yeah, I don't think Parisian people are particularly friendly people. I don't know why. But I think if you went to London, you'd find that London people are not particularly friendly, because I know when I was working in London, tourists getting on the underground with massive backpacks. It's a real pain. It's like, I'm trying to get to work. I'm not. Get out of my way. I'm really trying to get to work. You're actually becoming a problem. So I can see why Parisians might be like that, or Londoners might get a bit arsy about tourists. But out here we're nearly 100 miles west of London. Out here, people are very, very different, very, very welcoming and very warm. And they would be very interested in you, because we don't see that many Americans out here.
I see way too many around me.
My daughter's just been in Los Angeles and she said it was full of Americans.
We're all stocked up here. Tell me about the British drinking culture when you're on the golf course.
We don't drink before we play generally. I have actually come across, when I was captain of the seniors in our golf club, we did get delayed, and one of my team actually went to get a beer, and I did have to speak to him about that. We generally don't drink before we play, because I think you find that is a bit tricky. But we're quite happy to have 2, 3, 4 pints afterwards. But of course, if you're driving, you can't really go much. You can't go beyond 2 pints if you're driving. If you're in a taxi or an Uber, whatever, you could just carry on drinking. But people do drink quite a lot here. Yeah, we definitely drink after golf, but not during, and not before. Generally.
So in your area, within, let's say, 20 minutes of your house, how many golf courses are there?
4 golf courses. My own golf course at North Wilts. A little course that hasn't been quite so well kept since somebody bought it, and they used it as an office for an IT business. That's at Earlstoke. There's a golf course at Chippenham, and a very good course at Marlborough. Marlborough is quite a kind of posh town, because it has Marlborough College, which is not Eton, but it's very similar. It's a famous public school, rather like Eton. And Marlborough College owns a lot of the property in that town. So it's a very smart, small town of 4,000 or 5,000 people. It's very small. So 4 golf courses. And Bowood. Bowood is a quite an expensive course. That's owned by Lord Lansdowne. It's on his land. Lord Lansdowne is bestest mates with King Charles. And you can play that course. It's used once a year for the PGA Golf Club Pros Championship. Quite a long course. Not the easiest course to play, but you basically almost have to play every course as 1 over par for me. Otherwise, you get into a load of trouble. Most of the other courses that I would talk about are more normal, and you can play those well without having to be a scratch player.
Get us to your golf course. I'm an American. I fly into Heathrow. And then how do I get to your area?
You'd come straight down the A4, the M4, the motorway, like a freeway, for about an hour and a half, and you would be in our area. Or if you flew into Bristol, you'd come east for about 1 hour, but you're probably going to come to Gatwick or London Heathrow. Gatwick, you would go down the the M25 and the M3 and come west. We are directly, imagine we're 100 miles west of London.
What I'm feeling right now is this is the perfect vacation if you had, let's say, 8 to 10 days where you can do golf for 4 or 5 days, see the sights in the other 4 or 5 days, and do it on a budget because you're not blowing all your cash through the travel agent lady who's making you explain. You're not even staying that much time at the hotel anyway. You're probably playing golf, you're seeing things, and then you're not even sober to enjoy the nicest facilities. Why not save a buck and meet the locals?
So you put him off. That's the first fairway he's missed.
Yeah, I mean, you'd probably want to stay in a pub hotel, which are really nice. 6 bedrooms, 8 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms. That's going to cost you £85 or £95. So that's what, $95, $105 a night for 2. Your food is going to cost you £40 each for an evening meal. Breakfast is probably included in the room price. And then your golf fees are £50 or £60 for a round. Food at the golf club is £10 to £15. So you're not burning a lot of cash at all. You could be playing a lot of golf and you could be doing a lot of sightseeing as well. You could be going to Laycock and Bath and Stonehenge, Winchester, all these really, really nice destinations where you'll have a really good time, full of good restaurants and cafes. Yeah.
All these Americans taking their family to Disneyland or Disney World. It's sad. You're blowing through so much cash. It's all artificial. Nothing's real. Don't do that. Have your kids develop social skills, international experience. The whole culture works. Meet British people. They're almost like us.
I was in Laycock because it's only a couple of miles away, and I was having a beer in Laycock, and I went round the corner and I stood exactly where Dumbledore and Harry Potter apparate to go and look for Slughorn, and it's just in front of the Angel Hotel and restaurant, and I thought, this is amazing. This was exactly where they filmed that scene. I haven't actually found the house that Slughorn lived in, but that is in Laycock, and Harry Potter's parents' house is in Laycock as well. I haven't found all these places, but then when you live here, you always think, yeah, I can find that tomorrow. So you're not quite so obsessed by it.
It's funny because every Asian knows the Harry Potter story, because if you didn't do well on your homework, you were kept under the stairs.
Yeah. Harry Potter's house, the one that he was staying in with, I've forgotten the name of the family. The one he was staying in is somewhere in Basingstoke. Somebody lives in that house because in the first film they used a real house down a sort of cul-de-sac. So it really exists. So presumably somebody lives in a house where hundreds of tourists turn up every week to just look at the house. But that's a bit of a way off. Yeah.
I mean, this is easy to sell it to your kids at this point. It's the actual house of Harry Potter.
When you go to Laycock Abbey, which is down the other end of the village, that's where they filmed a lot of the corridors, the stone corridors with the arches, and that was filmed there. So there was a lot of different parts of Harry Potter filmed in Laycock.
That's for the children. Now let's get to the adults. What do you do for the nightlife there? Let's say you're a single American guy or gal. Do the local British folk find you more attractive because you have this kind of cool, not British accent?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I I walked up to a guy in God, that was Laycock again. I'm sorry, it was Laycock again in the Red Lion. And I walked up to this guy and I heard his accent. And I said, "You don't hear that accent very often." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "That's Carolina, isn't it?" And he went, "How do you know that?" I said, "Because I went to Tennessee and I met a load of people from Carolina." And I said, "I can kind of guess you're from Carolina, but I can't tell whether you're north or south, but probably north." He went, "You're right." And I said, "And I know about shag dancing." And I said, "That's a problem in Britain because a shag means something else." And he said, "My God, how do you know this stuff? My wife's a champion shag dancer." So you fall into conversations with English people so easily because we're so interested in where do you come from? What's life like for you? Especially if you come from somewhere that's not New York or Los Angeles, where you know, if you come from somewhere that's interesting, it's just so easy in this country area out of London. It's so easy to fall into a conversation with somebody and have a really good time. And then you're just having a good time. You're having a beer. You're going to go off for a meal. You stand up after the meal. You go back to the bar. You start talking to somebody else. It's a great time, and it's so easy. And isn't this what holidays are made of? All these experiences of meeting people.
This is what life should be made of.
Yeah, yeah. And then if you want to go and do something big, you can go down to Bath and you can do the Blue Guide tour of Bath and look at all the architecture and see how Bath was built on the original Roman ruins, because this area has got Roman roads from 2,000 years ago. Just out the back here, there is a field that is 50 yards from where I am that's absolutely full of Roman ironworks. It's got the remains of iron. When you melt iron, you end up with a sort of scum on the top, which you strip off. And this field is full of these plates, these circles of Roman ironworks. So the whole area here is full of ancient history and more modern history, full of really interesting things to look at and experience.
Folks, I don't know about you, but I'm sold. I want to go there. It's interesting because you go to any of these state parks and you're a foreigner, you don't have a clue. You always end up in one of these scary bear attack videos because you're getting eaten by a bear, or the weather changes and they send this search party rescue in and they can't find you in time. You've frozen to death.
There's nothing dangerous here. Here in Wiltshire, we've footpaths everywhere. You can walk anywhere and everywhere, through people's farmland, around the edge of fields, and everything is signposted. So you can go, my wife goes dog walking everywhere. So it's a very, very safe. Wiltshire is also the least, it's got the lowest crime figures for the whole of Britain. So I think there's about 700,000 people live in Wiltshire, and we have about 10 murders a year. So it's really, really safe.
I'm picturing myself walking along these footpaths, picking strawberries. I'm assuming there's some strawberries.
Oh,
out there.
We do have wild strawberries. Yeah, they've gone now. It's too late.
Okay. In my version, I'm eating these strawberries, and then I look over, and there's a young Kate Beckinsale before she dated Pete Davidson, kind of giving me the eye, loving my American accent.
Yeah, that's true. That's going to happen every day.
We're going to take it a step further. We're going to actually break down Chris's golf course.
Well, I play at North Wilts golf course, which is what's called a downland course. Where I play, the course started in 1890. So whatever that is, 120, 133 years ago, and was originally a 9-hole course and was extended to an 18-hole course in 1976. But the original course has been there, that grass has been there for 130 years. And in the first 60 years or so, that grass was kept short by sheep, because the downlands here, there was no fences or anything for 30 or 40 miles to the east of us, and the sheep would just roam across the downs in the same way as cattle roamed across the plains in America before the fences turned up. Our fences turned up during the Second World War, where people needed to actually use this land for food, so things changed a bit. But the course is somewhat like a links course, very open. And when you get up to the top of the course, and maybe we can have a look at that in a minute, you can see 40 or 50 miles on a clear day in almost every direction. So it's high up. On the other hand, when you're playing up there and you're playing this short 6th hole, which is a bit like the postage stamp, that's a famous hole, and the wind is blowing, you can be hitting the ball sideways about 20 degrees left to get on the green that's only 100 yards away. It can be windy and brutal up there. The only thing that makes it even worse is hailstones in the winter, and then you wonder why you're even playing golf.
How many months a year are you playing, considering you have this hailstone factor?
Every day. No, we don't. We don't get big hailstones like golf balls. We get hailstones that are, biggest hailstone is 1/4 of an inch across. And it normally comes down with some rain as well, so you get wet and hailstones and some wind. So it's just extremely uncomfortable. But we're still out there playing. We will play 365 days if we can, every day of the year. It's very rare that we get enough snow that stops us playing. It does happen for 1 or 2 days. We play in the rain, we play in the wind. We're always playing.
That's amazing. In the Vegas area, I probably play 9 months of the year. I play through the summer, but I only play maybe 12 or 13 holes here and there, maybe late in the day or early in the morning. I hate the heat. The heat stroke isn't worth it.
Yeah, we don't get that sort of heat. You're on the national news if you get up to 85. I have played, last year I played a 36-hole competition, and I think it was about 80 degrees, but fortunately it was near enough to the Severn estuary, a river estuary, that the cool wind, the humid wind was blowing off the water, and it kept us cold. But it's rare that it gets above 80 here. But it does rain a bit. We don't get non-stop sunshine. We're in July at the moment, and it's raining right now. We do get rain during the summer, but that's what keeps everything green and looking good.
What do the locals think about Sir Nick Faldo? Yay or nay?
They think he was a really good golf player. He's pretty outspoken and tells you exactly what he thinks. I mean, he really doesn't take any prisoners. He just says what he thinks. I know my golf coach said he's a difficult person because he's like that. He just says it as he sees it, and he's not really a people person. He's an obsessive golf player. He is the sort of person who would stand there hitting 1,000 balls a day and just keep going at that. He's not so much a people person. He's totally focused on the game and being excellent, and he still sort of comes over like that, doesn't he?
Do you think that Nick Faldo made David Ledbetter, or David Ledbetter made Nick Faldo?
I think Ledbetter found Faldo, and Faldo is the sort of character that will follow whatever he's told and ruthlessly, dogmatically, obsessively go through drills and routines and practice and do whatever he's told. So I think Ledbetter found somebody that was going to do everything he told him to do, and it all worked out. It could have been different, but it did work out. And I'm sure that must have helped David Ledbetter.
Well, I think it's interesting because Michelle Wie just retired after this Women's U.S. Open, and I think she also was employing the belief system of David Ledbetter, and I believe to her detriment. Because remember, when she was 14, she almost made the cut at the Sony Hawaiian Open, and she only missed the cut by one stroke. And then after that, you know, her game kind of, she ended up winning one women's major, the U.S. Open, and really kind of underperformed. And I wonder how many people, if you look at David Ledbetter's track record outside of, let's say, Nick Faldo. I mean, he also, I guess, taught Nick Price and Ernie Els for brief stints. But how many people did he actually help, and how many did he actually hurt?
It seems like a lot of coaches are there because of their personality. It seems like, we see Butch and Ledbetter and Hank Haney, and they're all very good speakers, aren't they? They're all good golf commentators. They are personalities. And I wonder whether perhaps the best coaches are not personalities and we don't know about them. And these are the ones that we do know. And nobody seems to have maybe it's what we were talking about before, that golf has this inner game where people don't want to fall out of line and say, well, Butch Harmon, here are the stats. These are the players he's coached, and this is what they achieved. Here's who Ledbetter did, and what they achieved. Here's who Hank Haney worked with, and what did they achieve? And sort of run the stats on them like they would in the PGA when they look at how players are playing. You know, how many greens did they hit on regulation and putting stats and all that. Nobody's running stats on coaches, are they? And maybe some of these guys are far less successful than they would have you believe. I'm only saying, but maybe.
I do want to throw this out there that you mentioned Hank Haney. If anyone is looking for a podcast to listen to, I highly suggest episode 819 of the Hank Haney podcast.
Yeah, it's good.
That's kind of a self-plug, if you will.
He was very impressed with the USGA activity you got involved in, because you were the only person that actually rang up the USGA and said, what are you going to be doing about this? And so he referred to you because you were the only one that was doing it. And this comes back to this loop of, are there a lot of people in golf who are in lockstep? You don't want to actually fall out. I don't want to upset anybody because I won't be going to tonight's party with Rory McIlroy. I don't want to upset anybody because I need to go to the PGA party tonight and get along with everybody because this is my career. So people don't want to say controversial things. I can understand that.
I'm okay with not being liked. That's the difference.
I guess we don't have skin in the game. Nobody's employing me as a golf coach or a golf pundit or anything. So I can say what I think. And tomorrow, I don't anticipate somebody turning up from the Saudi embassy and saying, yeah, you shouldn't have said that. You're in trouble. I just don't think that's going to happen. So you can say what you like.
On that note, let's get to the next golf course.
Yeah. The two other golf courses I would recommend for somebody coming out this way would be High Post Golf Course and Tidworth Garrison Golf Club. High Post is also a downland course, but it's probably even more exposed than we are. It also has some excellent views from the course because it is right in the middle of Salisbury Plain. It is really not very far at all. I'd say 5 miles maybe from Stonehenge. So if you wanted to go to Stonehenge, you could go and play High Post and then do Stonehenge. It's very open.
Well, in terms of these great views, how many people do you think would go there to propose marriage, let's say? Is this an ideal romantic spot?
Stonehenge.
The golf courses.
They're not really romantic, no. You might want to go to Bowood, where they're on the course just to the right of the third hole, I think it is the house where Camilla and Prince Charles used to meet. And everybody knows about that. And you can actually rent that house. It is rentable. So you could go somewhere like that and say, well, this is where Prince Charles and Camilla used to hang out. And yeah, you could have a romantic weekend there. But a lot of the locations around these courses, a lot of the pubs and the countryside and the villages are very romantic places. They are very, very nice. Yeah, you just Google up photographs of these villages and look at them, and you think, oh, these are picture postcard places. They are very nice looking. They're very nice to stay. They're everything you would expect them to be if you actually went to stay there. You'd find them very friendly, nice places to walk around, very safe.
What do you think the perfect icebreaker would be for an American who sees a local British person and wants to strike up a conversation? Could you say, fancy some bants, mate?
Fancy some what? Say that again.
Fancy some bants. Fancy some bants, mate.
What is bants? No, you've lost me.
Banter. Supposed to say fancy some bants.
No, you would just say, oh, I just arrived here today. Do you live around here? And off they go. You just have to ask somebody if they live around here. Do they work around here? Have you lived here a long time? Just get into... People are very, very friendly around here. You would just get straight into a conversation. Easy. You will also find that around here we've got a Wiltshire accent. I haven't got a Wiltshire accent very much anyway, because I originally came from West London. But around here, the accent is somewhat American-like. And when I spoke to people in Carolina about the way they spoke, they said, oh, we've got all these words you wouldn't understand. Like, do you know what a poke is? And I said, a bag. They went, well, how do you know a poke's a bag? And I said, it's just Old English. If you think in Harry Potter of Hagrid speaks with a Wiltshire accent. And I know for a fact that the big friendly giant, but he speaks with an accent that's like around here. But Mark Rylance, the actor who was the actor who played the big friendly giant in the children's story, that is a Wiltshire accent, because I met him at the airport last year and I asked him and he said, oh, well, I had to learn the accent for another play and it just seemed like the right accent. So you want to know how people speak around here? Watch the film, The Big Friendly Giant. And that is exactly how people speak in this area. And you'll find it very easy to be understood and you'll understand everybody that lives here. But it's very easy to speak to people around here. Just ask them, do you live in the area? What do you do for work? Yeah, easy stuff. People are very friendly. It reminds me of an Alabama friend of mine in Tennessee, who there was only one other English girl on this course in Tennessee with about 400 people attending. And he walked up to her and she was a pediatrician and she was dressed in the sort of clothes that she wears as a pediatrician working in a hospital in Oxford. They were very bright clothes. She looked like she came off a TV children's program. And he said to her, are your parents carny folk? And she didn't understand what he meant. And I said, I think he's asking you whether your parents work in the circus. And she said, why would he ask me that? Well, I think it's your clothes. And she turned to him and said, does this normally work with women? And she was just offended. She didn't actually slap him, but it just, people are just easygoing here. You wouldn't find any problem at all. People here are very different to people in London. As you would say that of America, though, wouldn't you? You'd say people in Tennessee are very different to people in New York.
100% true. City folk, they're caught in this rat race. They, just literally have to make money to survive, to pay their $4,000 a month, 1-bedroom apartment rent. They don't have time for the pleasantries. Every day is a struggle. You get outside the big cities, I think the best saying in Brazil is people in Sao Paulo live to work, while the people in Rio work to live. And I think that's the way cities go. In cities, you are living to work. And when you're outside the cities, you are working to live.
People farm around here. I know a lot of farmers. So when you look out across this countryside, I can see, well, this is market gardening just outside here. And if I look outside here, I think it's leeks. They're like onions that are growing, and carrots and broccoli, and people are farmers around here, and they're just friendly folk.
There's going to be at least one woman out there who listens to this episode and writes the next Eat, Pray, Love book, right? You come out there, you're hanging out with farmers, you're in touch with nature. I'm loving this. You don't need Bali.
Well, I think if you didn't come to play golf, you'd still find plenty to do here. I think the big thing is being able to walk everywhere, to be able to walk across the countryside and up the hills, to be able to look at the countryside, to go to all these special places. We've got a canal that runs through Wiltshire. You could walk from down the road. You can walk from here down to Bath. I can cycle down to Bath. It's about 18 miles, I think. But you could just walk down the canal and have a very pleasant time looking at the birds and the wildlife. And there's nothing dangerous here. There's a lot of wildlife, a lot of deer and badgers, foxes. There are kites and buzzards, things like that. There's a lot to look at, and it's real countryside here. It's not like the suburbs of London. It is not like trying to visit Wentworth or Sunningdale, which are in Surrey. Surrey is stockbroker belt. Surrey is like visiting the Hamptons and trying to play golf in the Hamptons. It's I'm sure there are parts of California that are like that, or like trying to go and play golf in Martha's Vineyard. That is going to be a very difficult, very different experience to playing golf around here. This is going to be really friendly, easygoing, not very expensive. You would easily find somebody else to play golf with if you were on your own, easily. And lots of places to eat and lots of nice places to stay.
Is it easy to rent a bicycle there?
Yeah.
Are there bicycle rent shops so you can just kind of cruise around?
There's one in Devizes. Yes, you could rent a bicycle very easily. And you could cycle around these lanes because the lanes are very quiet. There's a lot of back lanes here that you could ride around very easily and very comfortably and safely. Yeah, you do have to ride on the left.
How about lakes? Do you have like nice lakes in your area?
Not really. We've got the River Avon. We've got a river. There is a lake to the south. There's a big lake down at is it Stourport? There's a big house about 40 miles to the south of here that's got a big lake. But we don't have a lot of lakes around here. We have little streams and rivers, but not lakes.
When you're at your local golf course, what lager do you recommend and what do you usually eat? What's your favorite thing on the menu?
Well, I drink beer rather than lager. Lager is what you guys have in America that you call beer. And we've got, I think, 4 different lagers in our golf club. Amstel, uh, Moretti, Carlsberg, Heineken, and 2 beers, Hophead and Doombar. Doombar comes from Cornwall, and Hophead comes from a few miles away. So those are generally, you can always get good beers and good lagers in pubs around here. Favorite things to eat? Yeah, you can always get a steak and chips and mushrooms with sauce. That's always a good one. Fish and chips is always a favorite. Prawns. Of course, we're big into curries in the UK. Big into curries and Chinese food. There's probably more curry eaten in Britain than anything else. And chicken tikka masala is probably the most famous and the most eaten meal of anything in Britain. It was sort of invented in Birmingham by Indians and exported to India. But yeah,
I don't know.
lots.
Did it really go that way?
It did, yeah. It
Did
got
it start off in
invented.
Britain, then go to
It
India, and
did.
then back? Okay.
Yeah, it went back to India. It was a sort of strange curry that was constructed from a tomato sauce made of tomato soup, I think, and chicken, and the whole thing really worked. And it ended up back in India, but it was became a hugely popular curry. And Chinese food is widely eaten here, and Vietnamese, and that's about it. Those three. You can always find those restaurants somewhere close by.
How about a Korean barbecue? Any good Korean barbecues around?
No, sorry about that. Although my daughter does look a bit Korean, she was told by the head of the Korean Navy, because she worked for an army general for a while and went to Korea. She was told by the head of the Korean Navy that she looked Korean and she could pass as a Korean. So does that help?
That's good in my book. That works for me right there. We have more golf courses to get through.
Yeah, I was going to talk about Tidworth Garrison Golf Club. If you ask anybody around here, if you were not a member at North Wilts, which golf club would you go to? And almost everybody around here would say Tidworth. Tidworth is a more roaming, it's a country course. It's not a downland course. It's across roaming, rolling fields. Very green. A really nice course. Very nice greens. Very nice atmosphere there. Obviously, it was originally an army golf course run by the army for the army, I would imagine. So it's got a lot of army officers as members there. Very welcoming, excellent food, really nice course that everybody likes, always in top condition, really good condition. And I think I wrote down the
What's
prices
the
here.
green fees?
£51 from Monday to Thursday and £60 over the weekend. But if you turned up at 4 o'clock, a lot of these golf courses have what they call twilight rounds. So if you turned up at 4 o'clock, and right now it gets dark at about 10 o'clock, so turn up at 4 o'clock is £32 and 37 at the weekend. I mean, that's not a lot, is it? £32. What's that? $38? $38 for a round of golf? How many times does that happen
It's
in
a great
America?
deal.
It is, compared to what you'd have to pay in America, it is a phenomenal deal.
I'm not going to argue with that. You got a great deal. You already sold me on this. I'm just trying to get the details out there for the people at home so they can make the right decision with their vacation plans.
Well, North Wilts is Monday to Friday is £50, and at the weekend it's £60. After 4 o'clock in the evening, it's £20. It's just crazy. £20. I would recommend, if you were staying near to me, I would recommend the Bear Hotel or the Black Swan Hotel in Devizes. And there you will pay roughly $90 to $105 a night, including breakfast for two. And a meal there would probably cost you $50 each, sort of 3-course meal. Of course, if you want to drink a lot of wine, that's going to change it. And then High Post Golf Club does actually, I don't know the name of the hotel. There is actually a hotel right outside. But all of these golf courses are surrounded by these pub hotels. The Buckham's chain is very good. Hall and Woodhouse as a chain is very good. And you'll only be paying $85 to $100 a night for two people for a double bedroom. And a lot of the time, the breakfast would be included in that, with full English breakfast. And meals in the evening will be $40 to $50, something like that. And then the same down at Tidworth, you're going to pay £51 or £60 for a round. And the same thing, be surrounded by a lot of hotels in that area. But you're further south. Tidworth would be a good place to be going if you're going to Stonehenge, because it's further south. But just outside of Tidworth, there's a pub called the Stonehenge. So you're very close. You could book your pub hotel online, and you could go to booking.com, make a short list, go to the websites of those places that you find, have a look at them, choose them. And then you could go, and then if that's the way round, you then go and find the golf courses that are near those. So, I've given you 3 or 4 golf courses here that I personally can recommend. And, we could take it from there. If you wanted to do another one of these, I can tell you about some courses in Surrey where my sons live, but those are more expensive. And those are sort of £150 a round. So that's a different thing.
Folks, this has never been done before. We've reached across from different cultures and created the perfect UK vacation on a budget. Subscribe, share, and like, and get in the comment section and say, hey, I want Chris Downing on again. I want to know about the golf courses in Surrey. All the local knowledge, it's there for you. Suits everyone in the family. You, your kids, you don't have kids, how to pick up at the local pub. We've given you the perfect pickup lines.
Yeah, I have no axe to grind here. I'm not hooked up to a travel agency. I don't get a commission on any of this. I'm telling you, as though you're my best friend in America, I'm telling you, this is what I do. This is where I'd go. This is where I have experience. I'm not sending you to somewhere I don't understand, that I don't know about. These are the ones that I could tell you, these are the good ones to go to. And I know you'll have a good time.